Jake Holland, Albertus Magnus. There might not have been a more underrated player in the section this season than Holland. A 3-year starter on the offensive line, he's a pancake block waiting to happen. He led the team in that category again this fall as the Falcons ran their wing T offense 70% of the time to his side of the field. Sam Brandeis, Blindbrook. In his 3rd season as a starter, Brandeis proved to be a relentless force on the defensive line for the Trojans. He led Section 1 this season with 18 sacks and recorded 75 tackles as Blindbrook reached the Class B playoffs for the first time ever. Brandeis had 5 sacks alone with 5 tackles for loss and 15 total in Blindbrook's regular season win over Hastings. Julian McGarvey, Ardsley. McGarvey is all-section in both football and basketball and is only a junior. In his 2nd year as starting quarterback, he passed for 1,129 yards and 9 touchdowns, nearly doubling his production from a year ago. He also rushed for 431 yards and 3 touchdowns and led the Panthers in interceptions on defense. Michael Ferrara, Valhalla. Ferrara refused to let a preseason injury derail what turned out to be his breakthrough fall. Ferrara was an explosive talent as a runner and receiver, combining for 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns on limited touches. He also led the defense in interceptions as Valhalla went 6-3, highlighted by his 154-yard effort in a playoff win over NYS. Greg Driscoll, Pleasantville. Driscoll was a co-captain who anchored an offensive line that allowed the Panthers to rush for over 2,000 yards and pass for 1,000 yards this season. Pleasantville beat Westlake twice to capture the Section 1 Class B championship, a run that ended in the state semifinals. Defensively, Driscoll was credited with 32 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. Charlie McPhee, Pleasantville. McPhee enjoyed a breakout campaign for the Section 1 Class B champs. He led the Panthers in rushing with 814 yards and 11 touchdowns. He averaged 7.4 yards per carry and was a threat to break a big play every time he touched the ball. Defensively, he had 32 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions, and headlines a returning core that has the Panthers dreaming of a repeat. Andrew Barrero, Westlake. The senior captain and 2-way starter anchored both the offensive and defensive lines at Westlake. Offensively, Barrero was a great blocker, who worked in space and could get to the 2nd and 3rd levels with ease. Defensively, his strength and quickness forced offenses to double-team him as he caused havoc with his relentless pressure. Najee Smith, Dobbs Ferry. Smith was a 3-year, 2-way starter who led the Eagles to a 2nd straight Section 1 Class C championship. As a senior, he was a captain, offensive MVP of the section final, and led the Eagles with 1,277 yards rushing and 22 touchdowns. His best game may have come in the Class C final, where he ran for 138 yards and 3 scores on 27 carries as Dobbs Ferry upset Woodlands. Amari Bilal, Woodlands. Bilal finished off a marvelous 4-year career as a 2-way starter for the Falcons. He was all-section and all-state as a junior and earned Defensive Player of the Year in Class C for the 2nd year in a row. He combined for over 1,000 yards rushing and passing this fall and led the team in tackles on defense for the 2nd time. Brandon Two Guns, Haldane. Two Guns has a big game to go along with his unique name. Only a junior, he started both ways for each of the last 2 seasons, shining as a quarterback this fall. Two Guns was at his best in the postseason, rushing for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns to beat Tuckahoe in the Class D final, and then running for 104 yards and a score to beat Roscoe in the state quarters. Constantine George, Putnam Valley. The second half surge that the Tigers went on this fall centered around the interior dominance of George. He recorded 36 tackles and a sack out of the defensive tackle spot, shutting down opposing running games in the middle while powering Putnam Valley's attack up front. George had 77 tackles in his 3-year varsity career. Connor Bright, Nanuet. Nanuet has some of the richest football history of any program in Section 1, and this season, Bright etched his name amongst the greats. The 3rd-year starter at fullback became the school's all-time leader in touchdowns and points scored. He ran for over 2,000 yards in his career and had 14 touchdowns as a senior and 41 for his career. Ian Esliker, Pleasantville. In a balanced and deep Pleasantville backfield, Esliker rushed for over 600 yards and 7 touchdowns, averaging 6.9 yards per carry. Defensively, he had 40 tackles and 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and an interception. Esliker was named Most Outstanding Defensive Player in both the section final and the state semis. Robert Denota, Westlake. The junior two-way star led the Wildcats with 1,396 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns on just 89 carries. Denota threw for 170 yards and 5 scores, guiding Westlake back to the Section 1 Class B title game. Defensively, he led the team with 6 interceptions and was second in tackles from the strong safety position.